Hello again, welcome back to part three. I'm going to focus in now on overcoming nerves. Now, like all of the other sections before this, I will start by saying this is a huge area. It's also a huge problem. I don't know about you, I've presented now for over 15 years and I still feel nervous before every single presentation, whether it's in person or online. Now, I found this really great quote here, so I'm going to just give you a second to take that in. And I have to admit, ChatGTP came up with that one, which I think is quite interesting because you'd look at that and read it and think, wow, that must be some kind of Greek stoic king or emperor or whatever it was. But actually, no, thank you very much, ChatGTP. But it's very true. Nervousness emerges as the trembling brushstroke that accentuates the canvas of uncertainty. That's what it's all about, isn't it? When we're uncertain about how something is going to play out for us, there's always going to be nerves. And that's what every presentation is like. You never really know, despite how much rehearsing you've done, how much you've invested in a great looking slide deck, you still never really know how it's going to play out. You might get an awkward character in your audience, your laptop might run out of battery, the Wi-Fi might go down. There's a million things that could happen. It's a very scary thing. And that's what I always remind myself of. I always tell myself that the reason I'm nervous is because I know I've got something that's approaching that I need to be prepared for. So I just want you to stop here a second, maybe just pause the video, grab a pen and paper again, and I want you to think about why you might get nervous presenting. Maybe it's for the same reason that I've just outlined there. That's kind of what I tell myself. That puts me at ease with my own nerves. But what makes you nervous about presenting? So pause the video now and just write down a few ideas, whatever springs to mind for you first of all. So hopefully you've done that and it's been a little bit illuminating for you. And it could be all sorts of different reasons. I actually asked this question of another group recently, and someone came out with a sort of past childhood trauma about being on stage in their nativity play. So they must have been, what, 6 or 7 years old, maybe even younger. And something happened then that was with them all the way up into their 30s. And that's why they are so nervous about presenting. And that just blew my mind. Now, I probably can't help with childhood traumas. I don't think I'm qualified enough to really go there with anyone, but I can help you deal with overcoming most of the nerves that we feel when presenting. So, like I said, this is a huge subject, but definitely one that I think you can tackle and you can get better at. But I will add a little caveat to that. The nerves will never, ever 100% go away because of the reason that I stated a second ago. When you know you've got something coming up that you have to be prepared for, your body will physically give you a certain amount of nervousness. I just see it as that's my body telling me I need to prepare. And so the very first thing that I can do to be prepared is really simple. I'm hoping you've guessed it already, but it's practice. So I always feel way less nervous before delivering a presentation to a live audience when I know I've put in the time to practice. And I don't just mean practice once, by the way. I mean practice and practice and practice and practice. So let's talk about rehearsals for a second, because I come across so many people that, well, everyone is strapped for time, but so many people that I work with, when I ask them how many times do you rehearse a presentation, most of them will either say at least once or I never get the time. Now, those people who are, I never get the time, they are extremely time poor because they're so busy in their job, and that's a real shame. Again, not something I can really help with, but I try to encourage them as much as possible to make a bit of time to practice. It's so, so vital that you have a polished delivery. And you can only get that from practicing, 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 and practicing. So I rehearse, I should say, my presentations, even the ones that I've delivered quite a few times. I will always do at least bare minimum of 3 rehearsals. Now, most of my presentations, I'll admit, are only kind of a maximum of an hour long. My training I've delivered for over 10 years now, so I might just kind of practice certain parts of that if there's new features that I'm teaching people. But for presentations like this, where I'm teaching people the kind of softer skills of presenting, I will always practice this at least 3 times. So this is not my first rodeo. This is not the first time I've delivered this piece of content. Before making this video recording, I've already delivered this on my own in a room, in my house, in my home office, at least 3 times. And that just puts my mind at ease. Now, for you, it might not be 3, it might be 2. For some of you, it might be 1. But whatever you need to do to get to that level where you do not feel nervous at all about the content you're there to talk about, then that's all good. And I think that's where a lot of nerves come from. A lot of people are nervous about remembering what it is they need to say, maybe accidentally skipping over content. So if you can remove that part of the nervousness equation, then that's really great. Now, another thing that I do as well, especially before presenting in front of a live audience, whether it's online or in person, is I breathe. I just breathe. Now, there's a couple of breathing techniques that I use that were shown to me by other people in the past, so I'm not going to pretend that I've created these, that I'm some kind of breathwork guru. That's definitely not the case at all. Now, the very first one, and this is the one I use the most, and I'll do this for about 5 minutes, and after I've explained this, I want you to pause the video and do this for 5 minutes, because you will see and feel the difference in your body. So before every presentation, maybe 20 minutes or so before, just to get me in the right calm state of mind, I will do the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So what I do here is I breathe in for 4 seconds. I hold my breath for 7 seconds. And then I let that breath out over 8 seconds. And then I repeat, in for 4, hold for 7, and out for 8. And you probably feel the benefits after doing that for just a minute. But if you can do it for 5, you're going to be super duper chilled, I promise you. It's an amazing thing to do in life in general, but especially if you're feeling nervous before a presentation. So that's the technique I use the most. Another one that you might have heard before is box breathing. So the way to think of it is like this big box that I've got directly below me here. And with box breathing, it's really simple. You breathe in for 4, you hold it for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you hold it for 4 again. Then it's in for 4, hold it for 4, out for 4, and hold that out breath for 4. And a really good way to think of that as well is like a box. Sometimes people say they use the corners of a room, like a wall that they've got in their house, and they'll kind of look at one corner, breathe in for 4 until they get to the other corner, hold it, until they get to the top of the next corner and so on. So that's why it's called box breathing. But again, pause the video, have a go at one of those techniques or both of those techniques. I think would be a great thing to do. Just don't get too spaced out that you can't come back to the video. Maybe a minute or two on each of them will be enough for now, and see how they make you feel. Just notice that change in your body. And before you're actually doing that, take note of how you feel before you do it. Because I don't know when you're watching these videos. It might be halfway through your day, you might be super busy, there might be a million emails in your inbox. Just stop and take a breath. I trust you, you will feel, now trust me, you will feel much, much better for doing that. So the thing I want to finish up with on this video number 3 is that nerves are natural. You do not need to feel bad about feeling nervous before you present. Okay, they are natural. When I go to Alton Towers with my wife and son, who love these crazy rides that make you go upside down, I am way more nervous than them because I know something's coming I need to prepare for. It's the same as presenting, okay? But as it says down below here as well, with the right tools, you can, and just with those simple breathing techniques and with lots of practice, you can really eliminate not 100% of those nerves, but most of them. You will feel very, very different when you're in front of that audience. And if you can eliminate those, you're going to deliver with more confidence, you're going to get more engagement, and hopefully that's going to make your presentation much more memorable. Okay, so give those a go. I really hope they help. And on the next video, I'm going to talk about effective use of technology.